owners did not want to pay. So it's pretty good odds that they're
Yeah.
paying, at least in California. And this one buyer, another agent showed him the house and gave him the forms to sign.
Yeah.
They decided to call me because they're from my church. So
Oh, okay, great.
yeah, owners did
Hold
not
on.
want to pay. So it's pretty good odds.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're joining right now, I'm your productive aging coach today. I'm Felicia Saraceno. We are talking about some awesome things this morning. We are live on YouTube. I just need to record here. Thank you, Mike, for your arms going on. So record to our cloud. We are live. So good morning to the Productive Aging Collective LFG call. I'm your coach, Felicia Saraceno. We are live on YouTube. We are recording here. And we've been talking a little bit on our pre-morning show event that we have every morning for those who are the early birds, compensation for our sellers. Because when you work with seniors and your ideal goal is to get their listing, right? Wouldn't you all agree? This is what we're doing. We're helping them move into senior living and we're helping them with the listing contracts. And across the nation, everyone has a different buyer broker compensation form. But we were just talking about, and Daryl asked the question of, are my sellers paying compensation for buyers? And 100% of mine are. And it's because we have that little check mark on the bottom that says, don't show me any homes that aren't. So where is it going to go? I don't know. We'll see. There's all this clear cooperation stuff happening with Zillow, as you all have heard. Can't have off-market properties, and Compass kind of was doing that only to Compass agents. So there's a lot of fun stuff happening, and I still think that this is going to ebb and flow. What do you all think?
Mhm.
I still think that we are going to have some changes within this. And it does affect our sellers because our sellers are seniors. And I was just meeting with a new listing yesterday, and I spent a lot of time with them, helping them to determine, because it's their choice, what they want to do. Do they want to live down here in the Naples area in senior living? Do they want to go to the Venice area where they have some friends that live up there? Or do they want to move back to Chicagoland where their 3 kids and 8 grandkids are? So, what would you all do in that circumstance? What would be some of the advice that you would give them? And the navigation of what we're doing as agents. Don't be shy.
Kids and grandkids.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's one of those things that they wanted me to give them my opinion, and they're going to ask you to do the same thing. And when you're talking with folks who are making a big decision like this, they're coming to you because they don't know what to do. And so you have to help them with exploring what all of those options are. So they have some homework to do before our next meeting that we're going to have, our next gathering, get together, so to say. And I gave them a list of homework to do to gather evidence, so to say, for what it would be like to stay here, what it would be like to go to the Venice, Florida area, what it would be like to go back home. And essentially, it's sort of a pros and cons list for them because we have to, I don't know them well enough to know their family dynamics. You're not going to know them well enough to know that either, unless it's a personal friend of yours, right? So you have to deep dive into some intimate parts of what this is going to look like for them and help them navigate that process. And it doesn't happen overnight. It's not, I was there for my appointment for about an hour and a half. It's not going to be uncovered in an hour and a half. This is deep soul searching for them. Um, and it's down to, do I like cold weather or warm weather? because Chicago to Naples are two different climates, right? Do I want to be in a snowstorm or a hurricane? I mean, these are some pretty deep questions that they don't know what to do. And so they're coming to us and they're coming to someone like me for guidance. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm helping them through that process. But I wanted to know if any of you have encountered that previously.
I have. I have them go back. I give them homework like you, and I have them write down their pros and cons.
Yep.
I literally have them take a piece of paper, Naples, pros, cons for each one of them. I just went through this with a client and she's really confused. So it did help her.
Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard. And the other thing that's interesting is as we help our clients through this, we have a husband and wife that are not on the same page. So you're going to see that happen. And it's like, y'all got to get right with each other before you could move forward, but they also have to hear each other out. So it's kind of like we put our little social cap on, which we aren't social workers, but we are by trade right now. Us, all realtors are basically social workers. You're calming people down, right? And you're trying to help them manage their expectations, manage their emotions through a highly nerve-wracking process for some people. It's their largest asset, right? Cindy, I see your hand is up.
So I had a situation where there was a widower who was living in a 5,400 square foot house all by herself for the past, year or so, trying to decide if she should go to Florida, stay in Minneapolis. What she ended up doing is buying a teeny tiny little townhouse and then took the rest of the assets that she had from her house to take trips and go other places. And that was sort of her compromise. She gets the warm weather, but still is by her family in her little townhouse. But
yeah,
it took a long time getting to that solution because
it does.
A teeny tiny townhouse was not initially appealing to her after being in a big, huge house on a lake. So,
Big deal.
Yeah,
it is. And you have to help them kind of navigate through that whole process. And that this is what we're here for, right? This is what we're learning. This is why you want to come to these, to learn some insider trader information from someone like me who's worked in the industry for so long. And does everyone know the national averages for the sales cycle for senior living? Okay. The average time that someone goes through the sales cycle to move into senior living, and that means from the moment they pick up the phone or come to an event to the time of move-in. So what does that time span look like? For a life plan community or a CCRC, which is a continuing care retirement community, they're trying to rebrand themselves to be life plan communities too, just so that you know. That's about 2 to 3 years. It's a longer sales cycle because they're coming in more independent. And it's a bigger decision for them to move in. And when you have a life plan community, you have what? A buy-in. So it's a large chunk of money. Could be 500,000, could be $1 million. Down here, we're up to 3 million at certain locations. It's a little nutty.
Are there very many CRCCs by you? Because we only have 2 in the whole Twin Cities metro.
We have 5.
Okay.
We have 5 life plan communities and counting. And we have 39 just in my immediate 1-hour radius. I have 95 when you go out to about 1.5 hours to 2 hours. And counting. There are many on the docket for being applications approved to be built. And some of them are in the process of being built. I love to get a hold of these marketing people who are doing analysis for our area for building new buildings here because the average occupancy in my area is around 70% right now. So we have a lot of open beds, but yet they're building more. So when they do those market studies, I'm always the one asking, who did your market study? What company did you go to? Because I need to have a grasp. I need to understand where they're going to fill these beds, because then that puts the pressure on the salesperson. But back to the original thought is the sales cycle. So for a CCRC life plan community, it's a lengthy process. And that's multiple visits, and you're calling them and you're inviting them in for presentations. You're inviting them in for happy hours, events. There's a constant cycle that they have. And if you've ever been on the mailing list for one, you'll see how many times they invite them to come in. It's a lot of entertaining. So there's a lot of dollars spent on getting them in. In assisted living, the average time is 6 months to a year. And it's because it's need driven. It's because the doctor said you can't drive anymore. We have to start looking at alternative areas. Or you're at the hospital and they're like, you got 3 days. You can't go home by yourself. 24-hour care, or you are going to be discharged in 3 days. Here's a list of places. Boom, go. So that time period is shortened. Now, I used to have people who were on my wait list for a few years, and then they finally said, yep, I'm ready to move in. It's emotional. It's an emotional attachment. So that's something that I would ask when you go on a tour or when you're speaking to your contacts that work in your senior living communities. What's your average time that it takes someone to move in? What does that look like? I've never had anyone move in, because remember, I've moved over 360 people into senior living, turn around and move home. Say, nope, this isn't for me. I'm moving home. I hate it. Nope. They all said I should have done this 5 years ago. This is so much better than I thought it was going to be. Because there's a lot of stigma that in senior living, it's like Nurse Ratched. Remember those movies? It's like walking into Bellevue. It's scary in here. Now, trust me, I have been in some of those old mental institutions up north that have turned into hospitals, and they are scary. And I'm like, get me out of here. I'm claustrophobic in the elevator. But they're hospitals now. They still have that funky floor that looks like a pattern, like a granite pattern on them. And they're scary. But that's what seniors think when you're talking senior living. They're not thinking cruise ship on land. How fun is this? It's awesome in here. So that's something that you have to make sure. I know I wanted to get to a topic that Cindy had, and the topic is on exploring more AI stuff. And it's
Manychat.
Manychat.
Mm-hmm.
So tell everyone why you are using Manychat.
I am not using a Manychat, but I am exploring because I'm creating more pieces that I want to say in my social media to learn more about downsizing. Say this word and get this guide or whatever that looks like. Because right now I'm doing it very clunky. I'm doing it manually. Mm-hmm. And the 5 people that are responding, that's fine. But obviously I want to scale and I want it to be more automated.
Absolutely. So there's a couple of ways that you could do that. You could do the old-fashioned way, which is you send it to them as you see it. Right. And that is time consuming. And people want things instant, right? We're in a instant gratification age. We are all like that, no matter if you think of it or not. I heard something today that resonated with me. And this is what I heard today. And I want to see if, because this directly correlates to Manychat, I want to see if anyone else also, this resonates with them. So just shout it out. Technology is undefeated. It has never been challenged. once we have a new technology piece, we never went back to doing it manually.
Right.
How many people does that resonate with?
Yes.
And I'll give you an example. The example given was when Henry Ford created the Model T. There was a gentleman, and you could look this up, who went out and bought 1,000 more horses and wagons. And he went bankrupt because people started buying the Model T. We never reverted back to the horse and buggy, folks. When the computers came, we never went back to doing things manually on a spreadsheet. Handwritten. We now use Excel. When phones came out and the BlackBerry came out, how many of you were BlackBerry users? Because I was, and I was like, I have never given my BlackBerry up. I love it. And it was like my own little mini keyboard. It was great. And the iPhone came out and replaced it. What happened to BlackBerry? Is it even in business anymore? It's gone. So now we have this new AI. Kristen said crackberry for sure. It was like, remember Palm Pilots? I was like, oh. So we constantly have new technology coming out. Pretty soon, our awesome phones that are in the palm of our hands will not look like this anymore. I don't know what they're going to look like, but we all know it. The iPhone's been riding a high for about 20 years now, right? How many of you have to run out and get the new model because it's got the better camera on the back or better storage? So what I'm saying is technology is constantly changing and shifting. For everyone who's afraid of AI, Google's AI, just packaged different. You type in your question and it gives you an answer. It's AI. So at the end of the day, what Manychat does is it simplifies and automates things for you so that when you want to have a downsizing guide and you say to everyone, type in this code in all caps, and they type in, give me the guide or guide, it will automatically send them in their DMs the guide on an automatic campaign that you set up. How awesome is that? It's time consuming for you to do it on your own. But if you want to scale and get 100 people to comment, think about how much time that would take you to do it on your own. So it would type a response out and send the guide to you. Pretty cool. I've used it once before, but I'm going to start using it again because I do think that it is great for lead magnets, because a lot of times what ends up happening is we want to do a lead magnet. We end up paying for an ad through Facebook, and that's an automatic download for them once they enter in the information that is given. So like I said, there's two ways. There's always two ways to do something or multiple ways to do something. So when you're doing you want to get some engagement where you're giving someone a downsizing guide or something. And you've seen this all before if you are shopping online, where they say, if you want to know the brand of this dress, type in dress underneath and I'll send you the link to my Amazon account. And so you've seen that all the time. That's all it is. They're using a Manychat. So it's M-A-N-Y chat. And it just helps you to simplify that process and automate it. Because I'm going to tell you right now, this AI stuff isn't going away. It's getting crazy out there. So I'm looking to bring in a specialist where I learned how to use a lot of my AI from. And Kristen says it's really easy to set up. It is. It is. And I'm like, I know I forgot how to use it. And now I'm like, oh, thanks, Cindy, for reminding me. I was like, there is a tool out there to use. It's just to simplify our lives.
Is there a free version or is there a cost to it, or?
There is a free version for you to use. And I'm just switching my screen. And then there's a paid version. It's like that for many of the AIs out there. I call it the gateway drug. They try and get you hooked. to go and try the free version, and then you end up spending money right away from there. And the free version offers you Instagram direct messages, Facebook direct messages, and it's automate conversions, unlimited custom flows to engage up to 1,000 contacts. So 1,000 contacts. And then the first edition, the first paid is $15 a month to be a pro. You get Facebook direct messages, Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, SMS, which is text and email, and then TikTok's being beta, and they have a lot more benefits for you to go and check out. It's just another tool in your toolbox to use. I'm just checking the chat because I see there's some chats on there. And you could see what works for you. I always say, try out the free version first, see if you like it. For those of you who used it, do you pay for it, or do you have the paid version or the free version? Sorry. It's easy. Kristen says she pays $15 a month. I think that it is a great way to utilize your time, because there's one thing that we can't get back is our time. And how many of you are better in the selling zone than you are in the ops zone? How many of you are salespeople? Raise your hand. I see 3 hands up. I have more. I'm way better in that selling zone than I am in the operation zone. It's not that you can't do both. I get into the weeds because I want to know the numbers, and I'm going to dig and dig and dig, right, to get that data. And then 3 hours go by and I'm like, I haven't made one lead generation call today. And all of you have a different idea of what lead generated calls are. Mine are calling my buyers who aren't ready yet, calling my sphere, and calling my referral partners that are on my board of directors. And if you just make one of those calls a day, you will start getting your pipeline moving forward. You all know that. You listen to Paul's calls. You all know that, which is really important. But if I'm spending 3 hours in the weeds, what I call it, digging for stuff, I'm not generating any business. So you have to try and automate that and simplify it, because a lot of us are at the point, or some of you are at the point, where going and hiring an assistant isn't feasible for you. So you have to do a lot of things yourself. Wouldn't you agree? And manage your time as wisely as you can. So you have to have a schedule. I've done a time block. Have fun. Bye, Kristen. Kristen is going to volunteer at a soup kitchen. Oh, have a great day. That's so beautiful. And so you have to stay within that zone where you're bringing money in, because we all need to have money to pay our bills. But we're doing this with heart, and we're making sure that we are servicing our clients as much as we can, but we got to get more and more. Anyone have any questions about today? Thoughts or concerns they want to hop on? Yeah, Bobby.
Sure. So last week I went to the National Aging in Place Council meeting in Orlando, and there was a guy who was speaking on AI, and he specifically spoke about bots and how they are doing research with everything that we enter in. I'm wondering, with this Manychat, is it going to possibly should we really be careful about the individual information we put in about our clients so that it's not used elsewhere? I guess.
So you're not putting any information onto Manychat for your clients, or you shouldn't. Okay. This is strictly for someone wants to get information for what you're providing. So if you have a downsizing guide, if you want to provide an age in place rack card, or something of some sort of tangible item that you want to give them, like how to set your financial goals up for retirement, maybe you partner with a financial person on that to create something, right? Because or how to avoid capital gains. Like, here are this checklist for what you need to worry about for capital gains. There's hundreds of different ways that you can do something of this nature. This is more of a guide or a checklist for them to put in. I don't put in my personal clients' information on any social media, ever. I don't recommend anyone to do that. Because here's the thing, I come from a world of HIPAA compliance. I'm like a steel trap, always been a steel trap. I've had encrypted text messages that I would have to send to my team, or encrypted emails. And we're not at that level, because you shouldn't be sharing HIPAA related items to anyone. You're not clinical, you know, we're here. Thank you. Hunter says yes too, my dog. He said, I agree. You're here to provide resources for them to get services provided that they need. So their team of professionals that they would need to work with, I call them their angels that are going to wrap their wings around all of their services. And that is what you're going to be, focused on. But Cindy, you said, I have a question about training for volunteers at senior living.
Hey, so sorry that I'm going off on a tangent, but when you shared that you had all of the, that background at senior living. So every week I call bingo at the assisted living that's a half mile from my house. I worked there years ago. I've had training in the past, which has been, like basically how to treat seniors respectfully. Now, all of a sudden, I have a list of 16 different things that I need to take. They're each 1 hour classes, and they're all very specific to Alzheimer's and like feeding and, things that are just dive really, really deep. Does that seem normal to you?
So every senior living company has a corporate office that determines training.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if it's a one-off or a one-off community, or a community there's 1,500 or 300. Mm-hmm. They all have requirements that have to come down the pike. And how detailed they want to be for that training is not unnormal. That's pretty normal.
Oh,
a lot of it doesn't pertain to you. I've had to take all of those classes. And when I started for sales, I'm not going to be one-on-one caregiving or feeding anyone, but I had to take them. Volunteers sometimes, obviously you have to be fingerprinted and background checked. And in the state of Florida, it's an FBI level 2 background check for you. In other states, it's a little different. I could just speak to this one here. And you have to pass those classes and take them. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's an awareness for you.
Like I needed to name the 5 different techniques for measuring if somebody is suffering from malnutrition. I'm like, really?
Because it's the requirement, their dietary requirement, and you have all of those requirements that they are stated, that maybe their state said that you now have to do it.
Wow.
And sometimes the state regulations just supersede everything else.
Yeah.
It comes down to, I'll tell you a silly story. Like, my husband went to the dentist the other day, had an emergency, they had a drill on his teeth. So they had to give him Novocaine, right? And he's like, I'm in my 50s and I never had this happen before. They came in to take his blood pressure, to give him a Novocaine needle. I've never seen that before in my life. And he's texting me and he's like, why do they have to take my blood pressure? And I'm like, it must be a new requirement from the state in order for them to give you that Novocaine to get it. So the one thing that we do have is other companies, other regulatory requirements that have to be done. And it's no different than senior living. So sometimes it doesn't make sense. And I would ask them, like, is this a requirement from the state level regulatory, or is it your corporate office? Because I'm not doing direct one-on-one feeding. Or is that an expectation that if they need someone, they're going to ask you to do it?
Interesting. And I'm glad to have all the training because I'm learning and it fits in with my business. But it just seems really extreme. 16 hours of training with, you know, some of that specific stuff. Yeah.
But here's the thing is even though you get that training, I wouldn't recommend beating someone.
Oh,
I
no.
wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that at all. However, I would just ask them,
Yeah.
ask the question, like
Yeah.
after taking all all of these classes, what's the expectation for my volunteers here? Like right now I'm calling bingo, but would you reassign me on a day where you didn't have as many caregivers to help in the dining room? Ask
When
questions.
Yeah, I worked there just very part-time doing activities during COVID. And during that time, I was asked to do things that probably wouldn't normally do because they're, you know, they're down 4 staff members. And, you know, I was taking temperatures for a while because, you know, it's something I could do, put a thing on their forehead. And the people knew me and liked me and reacted positively to me, as opposed to someone in the dementia unit, a brand new person came in and that was more confusing. But yeah, interesting.
Yeah, but I would ask the question, what's the expectation? Always assume, never assure. I'm sorry, always ensure, never assume. Frankie asked if you're a realtor, can that be added to your CEUs? No, it cannot. They do not overlap in industries, and in real estate is not recognized, and vice versa. It is not a recognized training. It is not at all. So that's something that is specific for the healthcare industry, and it's no different than if you want to volunteer in your school. If you have children or if you have grandchildren in school, there's requirements that you have to take and CPR and whatnot in order to volunteer in there. So I know we went a few minutes over. Does anyone have any other thoughts or questions? How many of you are going to try Manychat?
I am.
I'm like, I'm going to do it again. It's been a while. I'm going to try it. Yep. And Frankie says me. Perfect. How many of you found this helpful? How many of you are listening today who are off camera? I'm like, I'm not sure. I was like, there. So yes, I love it. I love it. Just checking. Because I know it is busy. It's May 1st. So summer's right around the corner. I hope you all have a fantastic day. I love these conversations in the morning. We love helping you with your direct business and getting questions answered. And listen, I love this improv of you all asking questions. Keep asking questions. I love it because this is how you grow, and your agenda is what my agenda is. So thank you all. Have a blessed day.